geoholic.
All right, I've got Nathan with me. Nathan or Nate? What do you prefer?
Nathan. I actually like my full name.
All right, Nathan. So Nathan, real quick, just give us your name and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Nathan Jones. I work at AG3 Engineering, Surveying, and Construction in San Antonio, Texas, is our main office. And then I got into the geospatial industry kind of in college. I was doing, I think, what a lot of people do, and you're trying to find where you fit, and ended up in the geography department, and that felt like the right people.
Yep.
And so graduated from there with the degree in geography with a concentration in GIS from back in the day. And then while I was there, I took some remote sensing classes, and that immediately seemed like the most interesting part of it. And from there, I ended up working at the Atlantic Group right out of college as a sensor operator, just flying around in the back of a Cessna 210.
Okay.
A whole bunch of LiDAR.
That had to be fun.
It was something. The Midwest isn't as awesome as you'd want it to be sometimes, but it was a good experience. And then from there, I got the opportunity to do kind of GIS specifically at Apple via Apex, which is the contractor. And so that got me back to Texas, which is something I kind of wanted to do, and got me in that doorstep. It's kind of a contract-based thing. So, and they wanted you to do a cool down period after a certain amount of time and stuff like that. And I had always wanted to be or to join the military. My dad was in the Navy, my grandfather was in the Navy, et cetera, et cetera. But, and it just seemed like the right time. I was 24 and I was like, I kind of feel like I need to do this before I get too old. So I ended up enlisting in the Texas Army National Guard, and I wanted specifically to be a 35 Golf, which is a geospatial intelligence imagery analyst.
Yep.
Because I wanted to see the GeoInt side of it, get the TSSCI and kind of look at all that stuff and do that side of the house. So I got to do that. And then coming back from initial entry training and all that, I needed a job because is a reserve, so 2 weeks in the summer and 1 weekend a month type deal most of the time. And then so that's when I got the job at AG3. That was kind of where that all tied in. And then I was working there. I worked all the way from field to office and kind of everything in between, and ended up kind of standing up their UAS program and all that stuff over.
Cool. Is that what you're doing now then at AG3? Kind of running the UAS group?
Yeah, so I do, I oversee the GIS portion as well as all the remote sensing workflows and stuff like that for close range photogrammetry and then LiDAR, both terrestrial and the UAS based programs. And then I'm also, we're not that big of a company, so I also wear other hats, and I'm doing, working in CAD and doing all that kind of stuff, and some of the more survey-based workflows, all that kind of stuff. So, which I enjoy. Variety is the spice of life there. I think it's one of the tough things sometimes in the industry is it can get a little repetitive. So it's nice to have something else to do at different times.
So talk a little bit about AG3 as a company. You said it's a smaller company. Talk about it, like the services you guys offer and what you love about working there.
Yeah, so I think first thing I love about working there is we are a small minority woman-owned business, hub, DBE, all that kind of stuff. But what I like the best about it is that it's really who we are. Our CEO, Ida Gonzalez, she is a PE. She's been in the industry forever. If you roll around San Antonio, you won't hardly find anyone who hasn't met her, doesn't know her, that kind of thing. And she's, this 5 foot tall person who has the personality of someone who's like 10 feet tall kind of deal.
Nice.
And so she's awesome to work for, and she's kind of just this force of nature and everything, and we just get to enjoy being in that. And then I love working for my direct supervisor, Kevin Kerfman. He's our VP of our geospatial department, and so he and I he's been a mentor, and we have a really close relationship there, both working and kind of all that stuff. So it's just great to show up to work every day and not hate who you work for, and to
that's huge.
Have lots of opportunities to being smaller like we are, having input, having looking at direction, hey, this is a technology we should look at. This is something we should do. Because
Yeah.
I think the way UAS stuff's gone, it's kind of created this great democratization in terms of like remote sensing data
Yep.
and everything else, and it allows us to do a lot more work for a company our size.
Yep, you're saying all the right things. You mentioned mentoring, which is something we talk about a lot on the show, and democratization. That's something that was also we talk about a lot on the show.
Those are the buzzwords.
They are the buzzwords for sure. So, you mentioned having a good mentor. Talk about that and why that's so important.
I would say, especially if you're young in the industry and really kind of any sort of work environment, like what you're looking for in a place to work is somewhere where A, they pay you, B, it's not you don't feel like your soul is being sucked out of you every minute of every day. But one of the big things to look for, especially as you want to be a professional in that industry, is someone who's going to mentor you, someone who's going to look at you, see your potential, and then help you achieve it.
Yep.
And I think that's something I think that's changed a little bit. It's a little bit more of an old school mentality. I think people see that a little less. But I think that's super beneficial, especially like we're here at the ASPRS conference. One of the things you need for that is 4 references. So part of that is, I know we can be a little bit of the people in the basement in the dark and stuff like that. And so you gotta climb out a little bit, and you gotta talk with some people, and you gotta network, and you gotta get to a point where you actually know 4 people who can say, I like this person's work. I know that they do good work. And then, so like I went through that process. I'm actually taking the exam for my CP this Saturday.
Oh, really?
So nice. I'm excited about that and that opportunity. And that's something where, again, like, I know that's almost one of the biggest hurdles, I think, for people is just finding those 4 really good references that can speak to what you do.
Yeah. Don't burn any bridges, right? That's for sure. It's a small community, as big as it is.
It is not. Yeah. It's extremely small, and your reputation is very important. So it's. I think that's just a big thing too. Is like you will hit. There's a few glass ceilings in the industry, and one of them is if you don't want to talk to anybody and you don't want to ever kind of market yourself or market the company or do any of that, like you're gonna end up at a certain point, which is it's good and bad. It's what people like, but yeah, I think if you can find someone who cares about you and your career and your interests and stuff like that, I think that's really important and really beneficial. And I think it's just the human element of work, because it's a big part of all of our lives, one way or another. And so having good relationships within that environment and that context, I think is critical. And so that's why I work at AG3. That's why I like working at AG3. I get to do stuff I like to do every day, and I get to work with people that I like and I respect. So
and you'll probably get a raise after this interview. So well done.
Especially if Saturday goes well. So.
Yeah, there you go. What has the process been like to prepare for the CP exam?
I guess so. I went to this conference last year, the one at Nicholls State, and they had the same workshop that they're having here, which is one that ASPRS puts on that says, this is our preparation workshop if you want to take a certification. And they kind of go over what are the requirements, what are the different certifications from CP to CMS to the technologist positions and all that. And they go over the process a little bit. But one of the big things that they like to harp on is like, we're not going to tell you how to study for this test. We're not going to tell you, we expect you as a professional to kind of know, to know what you're doing and all this stuff. And so preparing for it has been, I don't know. After Saturday, I'd probably have a better answer on whether or not I prepared well or not.
Yeah, that's true.
But I've tried to, from what I've seen of the makeup of the test, it's fairly broad. And so I've tried to keep it a little bit broad. And I think that's where going to a school like UNA that had a little bit broader, more diverse kind of overview of geography and everything else helps. Some of having the knowledge in GIS helps, because that's a portion of the test.
Definitely.
Your CP, knowing quite a bit about LiDAR and photogrammetry, because those both show up, and then some of the and then on the military side, having a pretty in-depth look at like electromagnetic spectrum and all that kind of stuff within all the different imaging and stuff going on there helps. So it's just hopefully all that translates into a good score and getting where we want to be. But I was at the point where it's like, nothing ventured, nothing gained.
There you go. I love it.
I'll see if they'll let me take the test, and then I'll go take the test, and then worst case, I'll learn what I need to do better on, and go from there. So it's not world ending to pay for it and to fail and all that stuff. So,
No, I love that attitude, that approach.
Yeah, I think a lot of people self-select for stuff and say, I can't do that, or that's not for me, or whatever, and it's like, I think that's a terrible mindset sometimes.
Yeah, I agree with you, Nathan, for sure. So you said you were at this conference last year.
Yes.
And obviously you're back this year. Mm-hmm. Talk about maybe some of the differences in the two conferences, and like what some of the key takeaways are for being here.
Yeah, so last year was the very first one for this Gulf South region. Yeah. And so I think what was great about that is they didn't try to be too much. Mm-hmm. And I think it's something that they've done with this year as well, is we're not going to be this big, giant, super formal conference yet.
Yeah, right.
Let's keep it a little bit more, they do a lot of stuff with the food, like Nicholls State did an amazing job with the food.
Okay.
And some stuff like that. So you're not having to go out every night and spend a bunch of money if you don't want to. Mm-hmm. You get lots of time to network and meet your peer group, which is also important. Again, I think we all get kind of stuck in our dungeons a little bit, and this is an opportunity for everybody to kind of come up for air and meet some people and look at someone else's shoes for a day or two. Mm-hmm. But it's just I enjoy it a lot from that aspect, and then also you get to sit in some of the technical presentations and all that, and you get to learn something, or you get to go, I haven't thought of it that way, or maybe they haven't thought of it this way, and kind of be part of that, be part of the dialogue with the industry and all that kind of stuff. So, and it's good to see where things are going, what's new, what might be on the horizon. Mm-hmm. I also always love the students. There's always a great
good showing there,
presentations and everything else, and
the competition they did was super cool.
Yeah, and I love talking to them. I always slip in them business cards because you're always looking for good
people.
You
right?
never know.
Definitely.
Maybe someone from Nicholls State will get adventurous one of these years and want to move out of Louisiana.
There
Seems
you
like
go.
most of them are pretty stuck there.
Yep.
But it's it's all. I think it's just wonderful to see where the industry's going, seeing where we can impact and all that. And then, like I say, I think what's really important here is I think a lot of people talk about the positives of the democratization of some of the technology and all that stuff. Yep. I think one of the negatives to the lower barrier to entry is that it allows people who don't have as much of a formal background in it to not know what they don't know and make some promises and do some things in the industry. I think UAS and drones and some of that stuff can still be a little bit of the Wild West at times.
Agreed.
So this is a great place for anyone who's trying to step into that space, maybe from kind of an alternative pathway, to find some people who can really tell you what best practices are, what's good, what do you need to know. I know that there was a presentation on survey grade control this morning. Yeah. And I think that's something that's always, I mean, heck, if you went to like a land survey specific conference and you brought that up, you'd probably start a fight and probably some blood feuds on, I think it's, everyone has like the family recipe for control almost at this point, and they don't want to tell people about it. But I think that understanding that and just knowing, sometimes you have to know when you're on a pretty thin ledge and all that kind of stuff like that, and doing all that. So I think this is a great place for both, increasing knowledge, and I think it's also, what I like about the conference is embracing everyone and being like, hey, come here, come learn, come grow. We're not going to just, turn our noses up and do all that kind of stuff.
I agree. It's my first time being here, and super impressed with the technical side of it, and the content that's being provided, and then on the networking side too. And a lot of great synergy in the room, a lot of great opportunity to kind of mingle with your peers, that type thing. So anybody listening, I would highly recommend it to come check it out next year for sure if you're in the geospatial world.
I think it's just a tremendous opportunity.
Really is.
And I think
agreed.
And I think it's one of the more, sometimes at some of the larger conferences, as amazing as they are, and the tech and everything else, stuff gets lost a little bit.
I was just going to say that. Exactly.
It's a little harder to find exactly the people you're looking for. I've been to like the UAV conference in Vegas. Like the
massive one, yeah.
But then you've got folks there who are trying to do agricultural stuff, and you've got folks there who are trying to do, this is probably a little bit more of a
little more focused.
Yeah, a little more in the kind of the civil engineering and design and all that kind of stuff. So if that's your game, this is a great place to show up and meet those people. And and there's a whole bunch of folks here who are department leads, PMs, everything else, who are doing this work. And they're doing the work in this community, and so getting to meet them and do all that and stuff and get your name out is great.
Yep.
And like I say, there's always a human component to everything if you really want it to work, and so this is that aspect of the industry, as technical as it is, and as much as we love our computers and our technology and doing all that stuff, you still got to go out and you got to meet people and you got to make relationships. That's how work gets done.
Yep, well said. All right, Nathan, really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you for your time. This has been great. Anything else you want to get out there before I let you go? Good luck with your test on Saturday, and thank you for your service as well.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure and my honor to do it.
All right. Great to meet you.
Thank you very much.
All right. I got Will with me. Will, if you would, just give us a real brief introduction. Just give us your name and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Cool. My name is Will Alexander. I'm an RPLS and a certified mapping technologist for UAS. I help volunteer with the local ASPRS region, Gulf South. I am the student chapter liaison. So my main responsibility is helping to found student chapters, and once we have some going, support them.
So you mentioned is it a certified mapping technician?
Technologist.
Yes. Okay, that's a certification I'm not familiar with. Talk about that just a little bit. Who sponsors that, and how did you go about getting that certification?
Sure. It is an ASPRS certification. So I think everybody's pretty familiar with, they've heard of a certified photogrammetrist, ACP. The ASPRS covers 4 categories for professional certification: photogrammetry, LiDAR, UAS, and remote sensing. This year, they've cut out GIS in favor of partnering with the GISP. So that's historical, but for now, it's the 4 categories. So there's the CP. The CP equivalent for the other categories is a certified mapping scientist.
Okay.
And underneath those, kind of similar to how there's an SIT level in land surveying, there's the certified mapping technologist.
Gotcha.
And it can be specialized in any of those 4 subject categories.
Okay. So is your CMT specialized in one of those categories?
Yes, the UAS.
UAS one. So is this like a stepping stone then on your way to being a CP?
It's not required to get it, unlike with how a lot of survey licensure works, where you have to pass the SIT exam. It's not required to get the CMT, but it is there if you want to show that you've got this accreditation, if you've got the skills and the knowledge at this level of your professional development.
I like that. It's kind of like the CST a little bit.
Yes.
Right? Same type thing. You don't need to do it, but it does give you some credentials on your path to becoming licensed.
It does, and you also get a seal out of it, even at that level.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's my intention that my seal's actually getting mailed in. Should be arriving at my apartment today.
There you go.
And I'll be certifying my accuracy statements that I'm following the ASPRS newest revision of their mapping standards.
Yeah, that's awesome. Really good stuff. So you said you're involved with ASPRS from the student chapter perspective, correct? Yes. Talk about your role there and some of the impacts that it's making.
So I started in this role near the end of last year.
Okay.
So we really started getting going with the beginning of this semester. Our region has 1 student chapter currently, and that is at Nicole State University in Louisiana. I have been reaching out to 2 Texas programs, Texas A&amp at Corpus Christi, who have submitted their application this past Monday.
Nice.
Should hopefully be approved soon. and the Dallas College system, where
Wow.
they host a 2-year surveying degree and have a remote sensing class. We have the minimum number of students there who are interested, and I'm meeting with them in person next week to help
Nice.
them with their next steps.
That's exciting.
Yes, sir.
And so why is this rewarding for you?
When I was going through college, I had a GIS club. That was called GISO, and GISO helped me go to surveyor conferences and network and go to those classes and meet licensed professionals. And that's really, I feel, has given me a step up in my development in terms of just kind of seeing what it means to be a professional and how you network. I think it gave me a step up compared to if I hadn't participated. So I just want to also just spread that around from an ASPRS perspective with the mapping and the LiDAR perspective for those kind of students who, are interested in those technologies, giving them those opportunities I had.
Yep. So when you're approaching these other colleges and universities, is the idea pretty well received?
Yeah, so far.
Yep.
A&amp Corpus Christi, the remote sensing professor there, has been meaning to get around to this for a long time, but just needed somebody to help out and kind of be a little poke in the process. For Dallas College, the idea was new, but we just talked to them about it for a little while, and they got really enthusiastic. In general, I also spoke to Austin Community College.
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah, I talked to Sally.
Yeah, I spoke to them this week, and they're enthusiastic about it. I think that, them seeing what we're doing here, and they're seeing the opportunities for their students to be able to get more involved and plug into this network and see all this technical stuff that we do on a professional level that they don't get exposure to just through their classes.
Yep. And it was cool to see the booth here for Nickel State. You mentioned that. Good to see them being involved.
Yep. Yeah, they brought in 6 or 7 students to volunteer and help us run this business meeting.
Cool. Did you play a role in the competition at all? The undergrad and the graduate student competitions?
No, I did not.
That was something different.
Yeah. I think that was an initiative for Dr. Balaji and Bill Swope.
Oh yeah. Okay. Makes sense. What else do you want to share about the student chapters, the student chapter concept with ASPRS?
So with ASPRS, it's a little different than it being just a club, just because since we're such a big region.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're covering all of Texas and all of Louisiana.
Yep.
And this conference is our only in-person meeting.
Okay.
There's been some ideas about it around for local meetings, but for now, the plan going to this next year is that we will have 6 online meetings. And we have a technical presenter at our meetings. We go out and find somebody to give a technical presentation, so the students will be able to log into our meetings. They'll be able to watch the technical presentation. We cover half of their cost to become an ASPRS student member, and that gets them plugged into national, into the newsletters, into the journal. And then we've also got scholarship opportunities that they can apply through as being ASPRS student members.
Yeah. And what are the benefits to the students being a part of this program?
I think that they get exposure to, those technical talks, to this professional network.
Yep.
And they, we also help them, we give them a spotlight like that contest that you mentioned. We give them a spotlight at our business meeting specifically.
Okay.
We're not talking about any professional projects here. We only had our contests and put up posters for student projects.
Okay.
So that gives them a spotlight and gives them a way to meet professionals here for internships and jobs.
I mean, obviously, this is something you're very passionate about. How do you think that came to be, you having the passion to help develop this program with ASPRS and the student chapters?
Like I said earlier, it's a little bit about just giving back.
Giving back, I like that.
And my grandfather passed earlier this year. And, it's okay. It was his time to go. He was 97. but I just heard so many stories about his life earlier, and he had been a very active participant in his professional society for dentistry and just for his local town and all that. And I just, was really inspired by that as well. Just, we're building a community here, and I just like being a part of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Very cool. It's cool that he had that influence on you to head down this path. That's awesome. Appreciate you sharing that story. Anything else? Did you want to get out there before we let you go?
I just want to mention that, I think that I'll give a little plug. One of my survey mentors, his name is Isidro Garza, and he got the Klein Collins ISD high school level survey program started a few years ago. Yeah. And I've helped participate in that. And something he shared with me recently is that he has trouble getting some other professional survey businesses to just, chip in and help out in terms of equipment, or even just coming in and just mentoring the students. And he's getting, over the course of 4 years of interacting with students, he knows which are the best ones. He's already got them earmarked for internships and jobs. And it's just getting involved with any kind of local education effort. Everybody complains about the talent shortage at the bottom, at all levels of our industry, but at the bottom as well. These are the cream of the crop. And you find them by getting involved and getting active and helping out. And that's going to just help everybody in the long run.
Yeah, if we all chipped in and did our part, just imagine where we'd be, right? Yep, well said. I'm glad you brought up the high school thing, because I was going to ask, actually, if ASPRS has any involvement at the high school level.
At the moment, I don't believe
yet,
so.
Right, but
I believe that all their student chapters across all their regions focus on university programs. But we are seeing more and more high schools getting involved with drones, having like a drone technology path.
I know great entry into it.
The Klein Collins program, they try to get their students to get their Part 107 before they graduate. I know that there's a drone dedicated program somewhere in the DFW area. So we're seeing that more and more, and I think that ASPRS will have to move forward with student chapters. We'll have to be looking at high schools as well. And you're situated perfectly to be a part of that as well. Yes, sir.
Awesome. Well, Will, thank you for your time. It's been a great conversation, and thanks for everything you're doing for the industry.
Thank you very much.
I've got Scott here with me. Scott, great to see you again. If you would just give everybody a self-introduction, name, who you're with, and kind of what you do.
Okay, good to see you as well. I'm Scott Dunham. I'm with Gordona and Associates, and I'm currently the Gulf South Region President.
Okay.
And I'm involved with aerial mapping, mobile LiDAR, terrestrial scanning, pretty much all forms of LiDAR.
Yep. And might I say, best glasses game at the conference. Your wife last night. It's like you guys are like the perfect couple when it comes to glasses.
She's
rocking the cool glasses.
She's always got the cool glasses, and then she made me go to Santa Fe Optical to get hers.
That's awesome. So great event. You got to be really happy with what's transpired over the last few days. Talk about it a little bit.
Great turnout. We're up to, I think this year we had close to 130 attendees.
Is that up from last year?
Last year was only 45.
Oh my gosh. So good for you guys.
Part of that was
That's
maybe
amazing.
being in Louisiana and
could be.
being in Austin. I don't know. But we're excited. Hopefully next year we can get up to maybe 200.
That'd be amazing.
But great support from a number of sponsors, and that's certainly helped quite a bit, as far as
sponsorship definitely helps.
enhancing the conference experience for everyone. So
well, I'll tell you what, everybody I've talked to so far has had nothing but great things to say about the event. So
it's good.
Kudos to you guys, or you and your team and everybody that helped put this together, because I know it's not an easy thing to do. I've put stuff together like this myself in the past, and it's a lot of work.
It is,
It is a lot of work.
We started pretty much the day after last year's conference, and it's taken a full year to get to where we are now, but so excited that it was a great event, and it's been a busy last couple of days, but we're excited. We're about to start our workshop for the certification program.
Certification, that's right.
Bill and I are teaching that. That's the first time we're teaching it, so we're excited. We're excited that the region's able to start offering that education for our members. So.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Like I said, you guys are doing so many great things, and I'm just super excited to have been a small part of it this week and this year, for that matter.
Yeah.
So, when you guys set out to put this conference together, what was kind of the mission when doing that in the planning?
Yeah, really, we worked on. We had a good group of sponsors from last year, but really just wanted to see if we could expand the sponsors and really focus on more on the technical presentations that we've had, and have more of a survey emphasis on a lot of these, just to be able, the geospatial guys, maybe sometimes some of them don't know a lot about survey, and it's important to have that ground survey to make sure that the data is good. And so we've had a lot of good ones, tying in survey with the geospatial.
Yeah. The technical side has been great. I mean, the diversity of the presentations and that type of thing have been amazing. And I know like the Gillises are here today, talking about the importance of what you just mentioned, survey control. Yeah. So really good stuff. And the food has been really good.
Yes.
Lots of times you come to these things and the food just kind of so. This has been really good.
Yeah, we were surprised.
Yeah. Great venue for sure. So how long have you personally been involved with the ASPRS?
I got my certified photogrammetry licensure, I believe, in 2008. So that's been a while. And then about 10 years later, I got the CMS and LiDAR.
Okay.
And I never really gave back. And that was, Bill reached out and said, hey, do you want to run for an office? And it's like, I don't know. And I really started thinking, I wouldn't be where I am in my career without those two certifications.
I love you said that.
Definitely, trying to give back and encourage others to get that certification. It'll definitely take them further in their career.
So you mentioned CMS. So my understanding, that's Certified Mapping Scientist.
Yes, it is.
Right. So talk about that certification a little bit. Is that like a stepping stone to being a CP, or what does that look like?
So it's the Certified Mapping Scientist in LiDAR, UAS, and I believe remote sensing.
Okay.
And then there's a certified photogrammetrist, but they're all professional certifications. There's also, for all four of those, there's certified technologist. And that's for the certified professionals, you need 6 total years of experience. And for the certified technologist, you need 3 years of overall experience. So it's pretty much where you are in your career. But we've seen a lot of folks start with a technologist certification, and then after they gain a few more years, and they go after the professional certifications.
Cool. And that's all administered, I guess, for lack of a better term, by ASPRS?
It is. Yeah, they've come up with the all of the education materials and test questions and all that, and have you got to fill out the application, show your experience. If you have any education, a bachelor's, master's, PhD, you can get about, I believe it's 6 months of experience worth of taken off that.
Okay.
And then you get 4 references from certified professionals, and whether it's engineers, surveyors, or other certified photogrammetrists, and sit for the exam. And then once you find out, then you're good to go.
Is there a formal education requirement to sit for these different certifications?
There is not. We recommend engineering, any kind of geospatial geography, geology, those types of degrees.
Yeah.
Earth sciences.
Yeah. So with all the exciting things happening, and I mean, it's pretty mind-blowing, right? The different technologies, different ways we're now collecting data. Man, oh man, it's a good time to be part of the geospatial community for sure.
Yeah, and there's a lot of projects that we're working on, and a lot of our other partners. It's not just one technology. We've seen so many, mobile LiDARs driven for the hard surfaces, and then aerial mapping comes in, terrestrial scanning under the bridges. So it's the dynamic data fusion that we're seeing, with the multiple technologies. That's what's exciting to me.
Exciting and challenging at the same time.
Absolutely.
Because we have all those different, means to collect the data.
Yeah.
It gets more challenging. This is why ASPRS is so important. The challenge of, I guess, putting all this data together, that's where the challenges seem to come in. Like, survey control, you mentioned it, and the importance of that. And letting other people in the mapping world understand the importance of survey control and how that ties everything together. So what are you excited about moving forward? Like, how long are you president of ASPRS?
I'll hold this position, I believe, until November. And, and then I'll be past president. So
you'll still be involved.
Yeah,
then.
typically you start out VP for 1 year, president for a year, and then past president. So a 3-year term for everything.
Oh, okay, that's cool. And how many? So this is the Gulf South region. How many ASPRS regions are there? Do you know?
I'd have to check on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know the exact number.
But the entire country is covered by an ASPRS region, and then every region has something like this, like a conference or a annual meeting or whatever.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
So I don't know if all of them do, but I'm hearing that Gulf South is definitely one of the better conferences being put together. So we're excited about that.
Yeah. So you're wrapping up this year's event here today. What are your takeaways that you're already thinking about to make it better next year?
I really think I'd like to see if we can just get more people involved, or maybe we can lower the price a little bit for next year's sessions, and just maybe expand, go a little. We had 8 technical sessions this time. Maybe get that up to 10 technical sessions. And just, I think it was successful what we had this year, and I would think my favorite thing of the whole deal is the Geospatial experts panel that we did yesterday.
That was fun.
We're just going to keep doing a lot of the same things, but kind of build on that.
Yeah, that was really cool. It was a great panel. I mean,
it was.
The diversity of the panel was like spot on. So you guys did a great job putting that together. And, the input that was provided was very value adding for sure. Well, very good. Anything else you want to get out there before I let you go? Great conversation. As always, great to finally meet you in person.
Yeah, good to meet you.
Look forward to continuing to build on this relationship and seeing how the Geoholics can be a part of it in the future.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks,
appreciate
Scott.
Your time.
Yep. All right, I've got Jose with me. I'm looking forward to this conversation, Jose. So real quick, if you would, just give us your name, who you're with, and maybe why you're here and what you're doing.
Yeah, happy to be here. My name is Jose Pilar Chicongo. I'm a graduate student at Texas A&M University, Corpus Christi. So I was here at the conference to present my poster research on calculating material volume using SFM and LiDAR technology. And obviously here to learn as well from all the professionals here at the conference.
Yeah. And so far, how has your experience been?
Very, very good. It's always, I always appreciate taking a break from reading papers and writing articles and things like that to see what's really going on in the industry. So being here really opened my eyes to what everybody's doing. The new technology is coming out. It's been great.
Okay. So the competition that you mentioned, there was there's a graduate component and an undergraduate component, right? And we talked to Alex earlier, who I guess his was selected as the winner for the undergrad, and yours was selected for the graduate.
Correct.
Track, right?
Yes.
Okay, so talk about a little bit more about your project and the one that you submitted.
Yeah, so that project really originated from a TextDot project that we worked on. We surveyed about 12 different sites, and we're looking at different aspects of surveying with SFM photogrammetry and LiDAR. And the specific project that I worked on looked at how differently do those two technologies fare when it comes to estimating stockpile volume.
Yep.
Right. So we surveyed using these two technologies, and then we did a relative comparison between the differences, one and the other, and found really minimal differences.
Really, it was minimal.
Yeah, with LiDAR coming slightly on top in terms of estimates, but for looking at the price that you could spend on one or the other and having those small differences was a great finding.
Yeah. And it's like that study or that research is so relevant right now because LiDAR is being used so much more. Photogrammetry is kind of like the old standby. That's what everybody was using for years, right? And now LiDAR is being incorporated into these processes. And to find out that the difference between the two technologies isn't that much is actually gives you a sense of comfort, right? Because photogrammetry is still a very valid tool. And at a lower cost in most cases.
Absolutely. Yeah, the cost difference is really shrinking. It's not what it used to be 5-10 years ago, right? But there are considerations with LiDAR or SFM that we have to keep in mind. For instance, your survey site, are there things moving around or not? Do you have a lot of vertical structures or not? So really studies like this help you understand where can we really implement this technology and where may we probably look at something different.
Yep. And it's interesting now, a lot of traditional photogrammetry companies are, of course, now utilizing LiDAR as well, which is awesome. It's a great supplement to the deliverable, no doubt about it. Some of the things that I see happening, unfortunately, is a lot of these larger mapping companies are outsourcing the processing, right, of like the LiDAR and stuff like that. And if the proper, quality control isn't done, you could get some really scary data.
Absolutely, I agree. Yeah, and that is one of the things that makes me happy about working with the Conrad Lucia Institute is we do all our surveys from the ground up. So we go out there, we collect our ground truth, we set up our local base station, and we do all the processing ourselves too. So we have control. Obviously, that's not always feasible depending on who you work for and the size of the projects and things. But as a student, for me, it's important to see things from the very start and then the products that we come up with. And if something doesn't look quite right, we're able to say, okay, that's probably why this happened. How do we fix it and how do we avoid it in the future?
Yeah. So was there anything surprising that occurred to you while you were doing this this research and working on this project?
Yes, one of the most surprising things was we actually had two LiDAR scanners, not for the project that I presented here, but for different studies.
Okay.
And one of them, the LiVox Avia, was much cheaper than the Vox sensor, LiDAR sensor that we used. And for a lot of the sites, it was just surprising how well the Avia did, really. And it was great to see. And going back to the point you just made, it's not always about spending so much money if you really learn the ins and outs of the sensors that you're using.
Yeah, well said. And we talk about the democratization of data and GPS and LiDAR and all this stuff. So with that, with going down that path, it's like the cost is going to come down on all of this technology, actually, right? I mean, still, unfortunately, buying these LiDAR sensors it's not cheap.
Yeah. It's not cheap, but if you compare it to how much you would spend labor-wise, if you had to put 3-4 people to do that kind of data collection, it still pays off, definitely in the long run.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and then now talk about your position. You're a graduate student, right?
Correct, yeah.
And so what is your degree in?
Yes, I'm actually in the doctoral program of Geospatial Computer Science. It's part of the Department of Engineering and Computer Science over at Texas A&M, Corpus Christi. Coming up now, my third year, so hopefully within the next 2 years I'll be done.
Okay. What was your undergrad in?
My undergrad was Geographic Information Science, and I also have a master's in Geospatial Systems Engineering.
Okay.
And my whole graduate career has been on evaluating UAS technology, different GNSS correction methods. So the presentations earlier today actually were very interesting because I did a lot of that stuff too.
Yeah. And I know one of the presentations this morning was about the importance of survey control.
Correct.
And I like what you're saying, and you also appreciate the importance of survey control. Talk about that just a little bit and what can go wrong. If your control's not good, you're starting off on a really bad foot.
Yeah, a lot of things can go wrong, really. Like where you set up your local base station, you have multipath there going on. Are you using the right coordinate system? Is everything really matching, between the data collection from the drones and your ground truth? You have enough checkpoints to validate the results that you get. Jim mentioned today that it's very important to make sure that you're not using your actual GCPs to get that accuracy, but use your checkpoints. So we do a lot of that in a lot of our sites. We collect over 100 points for just validation and seeing how do they fare in natural ground or slightly vegetative features. So we do a lot of that, and it's important. And for me, it's been just great, testing all these different technologies or GNSS techniques, RTK, RTN, PPP. Convergence was one of the things they mentioned today, and that's one we actually had a paper on testing different GNSS techniques that was published late last year. But yeah, overall, I've been learning a lot.
Yeah, and ASPRS has standards for this, right? Like, depending on the size of your mapping area, the number of checkpoints that you should do, like in that acreage or whatever.
Correct, yeah. I think they recently changed it to about 30 now, 30 checkpoints minimum to have. And for a lot of our surveys, we'll still abide by the ASPRS standards. But of course, like you mentioned, it depends on the study area. Sometimes your area is so small that it's not really feasible to have that many checkpoints.
Yeah.
But for the most part, and at least the surveys that we do, they are, and we do take, like I said, over 100 points a time. So
yeah. I don't think you can stress the importance of that enough, because so many people, again, think this technology is amazing, and it absolutely is, but it's not perfect.
Not at all. Yeah, there's a lot of things can go wrong. Yeah, it's the checkpoints. Do you have enough distributions? Do you have enough control, for instance, around the outskirts of your survey area, right? Are you selecting them properly? There's just so much that can go wrong.
Yep. You said your undergrad was in geographic information science, right?
Correct.
So how did you end up going down that path?
Yeah, my dad's actually a geophysicist.
Okay.
And he did a lot of seismic surveying and things like that. So I grew up watching him do like GIS type stuff. And that's what I went to school for initially, just GIS. But I ended up going to a school that has sort of like a blend between surveying and GIS. And I took interest in both. And right now doing a lot of remote sensing stuff too. So it's been great.
Yeah. And talk about being at the conference. I mean, outside of the competition that you're a part of, what are some of your other key takeaways from the last couple of days?
Being able to see former classmates and, like I mentioned earlier, seeing the technology where it's headed, and looking at things from not academic perspective, but what the professionals are looking for, right? The type of work that they do. And really, I just want to take this moment to thank my advisor, Mike Sterrick, for always investing his time and I guess financial resources to make sure that we come to these conferences and learn. And it's always a learning opportunity, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome. What else? What else are you going to talk about? Anything else? What are you going to do with all these degrees that you're accumulating and accomplishing? What's your goal after your academia portion is over? Are you going to stay in that arena and teach, or do you see yourself working in the public or private sector?
Public, private. I really want to do some research and development.
Yeah.
I really appreciate learning everything that goes in the background, why things can go wrong. And I know the private sector doesn't always have the time to go and learn all these different things. So for me, it's always a privilege to be the one that helps provide those answers so that we can help advance the industry, in any way I can. Like I said, R&D, I'll probably be teaching at some capacity. I know probably not full time, right? But I've learned so much, and I feel like I need to give back to the community and help bring more geospatial engineers and surveyors into the industry. Yeah,
and it's so refreshing. I mean, you're super passionate about this, so.
Absolutely, yeah. I remember when I was 14, my teacher, it was actually an economics class, asked the whole class, what are you going to do when you grow up? And obviously most kids didn't know. And I told her, I want to do GIS. And she's, what is that? So it feels great, to be here 10 years later and actually doing what I love to do. So
well, good for you. Congratulations on your success here with being selected as the winner of the graduate competition. You got $10,000 check went along with that or something?
Thank you.
No, wasn't quite that much.
Not that much, but it's always welcome.
It'll buy you dinner tonight.
That's for sure.
All right, Jose. Well, hey, great conversation. Really pleasure getting to know you a little bit. And thank you for your time.
Likewise. Thank you so much.